And start the recording. Hi, I'm Nicole Ronigan, and I am an essential oil educator and intuitive healer. I'm just a woman who wants to share her gifts with the world as they've been shared with me. And I kind of have fallen into the fun category of doing a lot of off-label, off-book uses for essential oils because that is honestly how they benefit me the most. And so I share what I've had shared with me. So let me get my tech in order here. I have really come to know and understand that the way that we receive pleasure, our ability to orgasm, our ability to create, and our ability to really enjoy life as we were put on this planet to enjoy it are all connected. And so we're going to talk about that. So this is our Big O class. Try and give you some good lighting here. So my story, as it pertains to this class, is I've been using essential oils therapeutically for about 5 years now, a little more than 5 years. First, my family and I started using them for emotional support, or for physical support, and then we started using them for emotional support. So we very quickly discovered that they could support our immune system and help us in our physical bodies for wellness. And then as a mom of kids, let's all make sure we're muted here. There we go. As a mom of 4 young kids, I realized that I had a lot of emotional needs that needed to be supported as well. And you know, I have just really grown to love and have confidence in my doTERRA essential oils because I've been increasingly amazed every day as the support that I receive from them continues to grow and really change my life experience for the better. I've experienced so much wholeness and freedom just growing every single day, and the enjoyment of my life, like just my everyday life enjoyment has increased. And when my friend shared these essential oils with me, I really was just looking to be saved from the flu. And so much more has happened since then. So that's why I'm super passionate about sharing this. So for today's class, I want to highlight a few really significant to me, very phenomenal, foundational, emotional breakthroughs that have led me to this realization and discovery that I want to share with you. So my childhood story is one of strict religious upbringing and a lot of dysfunction and a lot of generational trauma. And my parents, I love them dearly. They did the best that they knew how to do with what they had. And if I look, at my childhood, I think sometimes, God, that was a shit show. But then I know their story, and my story was a little bit healthier than my mom and dad's story. It's a lot healthier, actually. And then my parents' story was healthier than their parents' story. And so I choose to see hope, and I choose to foster and facilitate and learn things that will help my kid's story be better than the story that I had. Because I believe that we have choice and we have agency. And as we're given these tools, we actually have the ability to change our lives, even not just the trajectory of our life, which we certainly can, but even on a cellular level, the way that I express things in the world, I can change them on a molecular level with these essential oils. So super passionate about sharing this. I've really come to know and love my oils for the help that they've given me and the support that they've given me around just the areas of radical forgiveness that needed to happen in my life. So, my father for abuse and trauma that he perpetuated into my life and my family's life, that was perpetuated into his, right? And just a cycle of abuse and trauma. I've been able to have radical forgiveness for that. And I continue, as things to come up, to have the tools to forgive and to actually see my dad as an unloved child that was just doing the best that he knew how. I've also been able to have some radical forgiveness for some other family members on my husband's side that I perceived had a lot of judgment on me for my parenting. And, I've come to really learn and realize that I judged my parenting harshly. So I've also been able to forgive myself for playing those patterns forward into my kids' life, maybe in a little different ways, but certainly ways that I had never wanted to perpetuate, that I had learned from my parents. I was like, I'm not going to do what my parents did, but then that's what I knew, and those were the tools that I had in my toolbox, and lo and behold, day in, day out, I would find that the way that I had set out to parent was not the way that I was actually parenting my 4 sweet children, who were very much outside the box kids. And so the typical ways of parenting just weren't a good fit for us. And that created trauma, trying to shove our little square pegs into round holes. I've been able to have a lot of radical forgiveness of myself for that, and realizing in that I was judging myself harshly. And then I looked to different people in my life, like my in-laws or my parents even, for validation of my parenting and like a thumbs up. But then I also looked to them to reinforce the I'm a bad parent story that I was playing in my life and in my head. So I've just, like, that for me was really the catalyst of like realizing, no, I am a good mom, and I am the mom that my children need and were given, and they are the children that I need and I was given. And so how can we work with our divine design? How can we work with these essential oils to make this an amazing experience? And you might think, what does this have to do with orgasms? Well, I'm getting to that. So I've also been able to have a lot of radical forgiveness around my whole paradigm of who God is and what unconditional love is, and how that plays into my life, and how I've been able to deconstruct harmful philosophies about who God is, and more of a judgment model, and really reconstruct who God is to me and to my family as more of an unconditional love model, and a gentle learning process that's fully supported and fully accepted and loved. And so I've had a lot of forgiveness around who I perceived God to be, and spiritual community and all of that. So I've been able to increasingly leave behind the guilt, the fear, the shame, and the religion of that God paradigm, and really embrace unconditional love and acceptance and wholeness in a whole new way that I didn't even know was possible, but in my heart of hearts was always longing for. And then a fun, like, added benefit to all of that emotional weight loss was I've had a pretty radical physical weight loss as well, after doing many cleanses, many different eating plans, exercising, finding movement that I enjoyed and loved, that fostered a love for my body and nurturing my body, but wasn't providing weight loss results. When I did this emotional piece of forgiveness, all of that emotional and energetic weight allowed me to release the physical weight as well. So those are pretty significant, I believe. And I'm super grateful for those breakthroughs, and just how the essential oils have facilitated that in my life. And then, I like to teach the fun classes, right? So In February of 2017, I started teaching. I took over our team's oils and libido class, and I found this really great recipe in the Essential Life book, and it's called the Ecstasy Extender. So I was looking for orgasms for me. My husband didn't really have a problem having orgasms, and I did and I didn't. You know, sometimes it was just felt really hit and miss for me. And if I would have an orgasm, I would start to have one, and then it would kind of like just peter out. And so I thought, oh, I'm gonna like get this blend. I'm gonna try it out. Sorry about the lighting here. There we go. I'm gonna try this blend out and see if it works, if it's comfortable. You know, essential oils provide different sensations. Sometimes they're very intense. Sometimes they have like a heating or a warming sensation. Sometimes they have a cooling sensation. I wanted to make sure before I gave this blend to my class to try with their partners that I tried with mine. So I made sure it was a pleasant experience for everyone. So I'll give you the recipe and I will put it in the notes as well. But it's 2 drops of geranium, 1 drop of cinnamon, 1 drop of ginger, 1 drop of lemongrass, 1 drop of peppermint. And then I added 2 drops of melaleuca for shelf life preservation. And then I put that in an ounce of fractionated coconut oil in a little glass bottle with a dropper. And we just kept that in our room on our nightstand and used it. And it's amazing. The physical properties of it, the lubrication is really nice. I was able to physically feel things and sensations that I wasn't able to feel without lubrication. So orgasming became easier and easier for me. But, you know, I was still it was still kind of hit and miss, but definitely elevated, definitely amazing. And so I was really confident to share that in my class, which I did. And I had a lot of great feedback. I've given it as gifts for bridal showers, and I have a few brides come back to me for refills because they love it as well. So very confident in sharing it for its physical properties. So then, you know, 2017 was just a very transformational year for me. That's when all this radical forgiveness was coming about. It was more like September of 2016, that when it really all started. I started working with Desiree Mangendog, and I took her Awake Yourself course. And so I was going through it for a second time, I believe. At the same time that I was using this lubrication for my class, I was giving it a test run. I was also going through Desiree's module on radical forgiveness. And there's a whole protocol that she goes through to help us release stuck emotions where we store them in our body physically. The essential oils correspond to supporting those body systems and allowing those emotions to release like you would release toxins. And it's all according to Chinese medicine principles, and it's just a really awesome process. So 6 weeks after, you know, I into the process of using the lube, we get to this module and I start doing forgiveness work around my relationship with my dad and my childhood and some trauma there. And then shortly after that, my husband and I were having sex and we were using our lube, right? And we'd been using it pretty faithfully because we were liking the results. And I had this breakthrough aha moment that was so amazing. But up until this point in my life, I mean, we'd been married for like 13 years at this point. Different times during having sex, I would like either shut down or I would like disassociate. I would leave in my mind. I would be like making grocery lists or thinking about what I had to do that day. It was very difficult for me to stay present, at least at the very beginning. Like when the touching and the foreplay part was happening, I almost always would like leave in my mind. And I just thought that I have 4 little kids, I have mom brain. It's hard. Like, I just thought it was really hard to shut the brain off. And eventually I would be able to be present, but there was a lot of times where I would shut down and we'd have to pause, and I would feel like almost like crawling out of my skin feelings, or just I knew something wasn't right, but I didn't have any like memory, like a movie screen kind of memory of any trauma or abuse. I had a lot of like things that I suspected, but because I didn't feel like I had any concrete proof, I didn't ever want to like level any accusations. And so I just had always told myself, no, you were never molested. You were never sexually abused. You were, that must just be in your head, or that must just be maybe even memories of stories that I was told by other family members. Maybe I just have all that in my mind. And I just dismissed it. I'd always dismiss it. Well, at this one particular moment, having done all this radical forgiveness and really, I feel like priming the emotional pump with all this emotional support that those oils in that lube were giving me. Like, geranium is the oil of love and trust. Cinnamon is the oil of sexual purity. Ginger is the oil of empowerment. Lemongrass is clearing and cleansing. Peppermint is a buoyant, like it brings buoyancy of heart, and it's a great trauma release because we store trauma in our heart space. And then Melaleuca is the oil of energetic boundaries. So here I think I'm doing support for sensation, so I can have a little warming with the cinnamon and ginger and lemongrass, and a little cooling with the peppermint. And then like just overall aphrodisiac qualities of the geranium, and then the, antifungal, antibacterial properties of the Melaleuca. And I had no clue that it was the perfect key to unlock that trauma from my limbic brain, and then also from my body, because we store trauma in our body, we store memory in our body. It was this perfect key to gently unlock that trauma. And it was like my little girl self told my adult self about the abuse and the trauma, and my adult self believed her and validated her and comforted her. And then I was able to like integrate my child self and my adult self, and then release that trauma. And it was the most beautiful thing. It's so hard to describe, because I had always pushed her away. I'd always pushed that tug, that nagging feeling that something wasn't right. I'd always pushed it away, that it wasn't safe, that it would destroy me to have that memory, that I would fall apart or come undone or wouldn't be supported in that. And the essential oils had done this amazing, beautiful work, that I felt love and trust. I felt empowered. I felt boundaried. I felt safe to release that trauma. And my little girl self had the courage to once again say, hey, something isn't right here. And I believed her. And it was just gorgeous. And I was able to finish having sex with my husband. It wasn't like I was like, get the fuck off me. I was like, it was beautiful. It was union. It was this embrace. And then afterwards, I was able to come out into the living room where it was quiet and really sit with God and be like, whoa, what just happened here? And it felt like relief. It felt like release. There was always the little gremlin-y part that's like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, that's huge. Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And then I was able to tell Eric, like, what had happened. And he's not an idiot. He knew something was up, but he was just very patient and gentle with me through the process. And it was amazing. And so that is really where I started to have full confidence in these oils, that they intuitively know and do what I need, right? Like what we need. And so I can be putting on guard, you know, for physical support, immune support, but I can also be helping myself build boundaries, you know, same with Maluka. Like there's something emotional that takes place in my body that I need, and my body knows what I need, right? So I might be using it for one purpose, like making a lube, and then my whole like body and mind and soul are just lining out, you know, and the healing is taking place while I'm experiencing, you know, nice physical sensations from intercourse, right? So that was the foundation of this. Since then, so 2018, I teamed up with a couple other amazing gifted women who are very, very prominent in their community, a very body positive, sex positive, healthy sexuality, empowered sexuality. And I wanted to team up with them. So we did a 4-part series that's now on my YouTube channel. And you can totally access that. It's the Essential Oil Unicorn Herd. And so I have a Let's Talk About Sex series. And we go into like trauma and like physical support, like for, you know, all the different oils that help with the different types of sensations and stuff. But we talk about all kinds of things around the topic of healthy sexuality. So I'm not going to get into all that here, but I just want you to know and understand the power of these oils and, you know, just really like what we have access to. I feel like we're just at the tip of the iceberg, but I know that I have to share this message. This is so, so important. Sexuality and sex has been so assaulted in our culture, and it has become such an entry point for trauma for so many people that we have shared humanity here. And this is something that as I discover the gifts that I have and the mission that I have to help facilitate and shine the light on healing in this world, that this is a huge, huge place to start. So when Janet Marquez and I started working together in her Flowology course, she shared a module with our class on receiving pleasure, because it came up for many of the women in our class that we had blocks around intimacy. We had blocks around orgasms. Some of us, you know, like were further on in their story. Some marriages had dissolved. Like there were varying degrees, but the core commonality was that we had blocked our sacral area, our creation space, and our ability to receive pleasure, which meant like it manifested like business blocks, money blocks, you know, lack of confidence, lack of self-worth, feeling like we're not enough or our gifts aren't unique, so they're not worth sharing because someone else is already sharing the message. Well, I'm unique, and my audience is going to receive me differently than they would receive someone else who's saying basically the exact same thing. And together, we bring this to the world. We bring our gifts to the world. But when we have blocks in this area, instead of celebrating each other and creating together and collaborating together the way that creation was designed to be a group effort, like even when you go to create a physical human being, it takes two. Sometimes it takes a doctor, you know, like it's a team effort. And so that's what the design is, but the blocks will manifest in all these different areas. And so Janet was inspired with this beautiful gift to help us in our class, and I asked her if I could share it. And because of my background in trauma and how I've just been taught a trauma-informed approach to using different modalities, I ran my inspiration by her, and she loved it, and she said, please share this with everyone. So that's what we're doing today. So I want to make sure that I'm covering all of this. Oh, and yeah, in the treatment, we really it was brought to light that that same energy that helps us have an orgasm, have that like amazing explosion of energy in our physical body, is the same creation energy that we use to bring our gifts and ideas into fruition in the world. So that's why it was manifesting as money blocks or business blocks. A lot of us are building the business of doTERRA together, and there'd be like these major blocks of being able to create what we knew in our mind and were inspired to do. It wasn't coming to fruition. And so the treatment we're going to do today is just, that's what this is for, is to help remove those blocks. And then also added in is to release the trauma, so it's safe for us to create. And I have a 12 module course called Raise Your Vibration, and it's about how our vibe attracts our tribe in life and business, and how to create sustainable systems and self-care and build in the life that we actually want to live into our business model. So I coach women entrepreneurs on how to do that, and we have an entire module on healing our sacral space, or that creation energy, so we can create with other women. We can collaborate and celebrate and co-create with each other. You know, and I even saw that when I have blocks in my marriage, I saw that I was even competing with my spouse and wasn't co-creating well with him. And it plays out into our parenting. It played out into just growing a thriving life together as a family. So, I mean, it's not just for my business that this is important, but it's for the health of my family, and it's for the health of my soul. And so I'm just super passionate about this. I want to make sure I share all of the little tidbits. And also, I wanted to say too, to just today, you know, it's going to be the first time we do this treatment, but it's meant to be done as a practice. And so take your time and really honor where you are. A lot of things might come up for you, and that is okay. And we're going to be working with all of our energy meridians in our body, as well as all the nerve bundle places that a lot of people know as the chakra system. And so we might clear a block in one area, and that's an amazing thing. And just because you don't clear them all in one day, please don't have judgment around that. Like, really honor what your body allows you to do today. So if you need to reach out to me in a private message after this class, I'm so open to that. I'm here to support you in this journey. So without further ado, let's find a comfortable position. And we're going to get our oils. I actually need to step over here really quick and grab a few. There we go. So I'm going to actually stand up for this. Let me adjust my camera here. Okay. So the first oil that we are going to use is oregano. And I really like the oregano touch because it's already diluted with coconut oil, and it's just a very safe and effective way to use oregano. Before we had the touch, I never really used oregano. Like, if I did, I was super nervous to. And now I utilize it all the time. So we are going to put oregano inside our wrists, on the inside of our wrist crease, all the way up to our elbow crease. Our arms really symbolize like the things that we take on or receive. And a lot of times we have received negative attachments. We've received things, traumas in our body. We've received alliances with things and people that were not for our highest good. So we are just going to clear that first. Before we receive anything beautiful and wonderful, we want to clear a space for it. So we're going to remove the things that aren't serving us anymore. They're not helping us. They're not for our highest good. And I just really love the way oregano smells now. I didn't used to love it. And I mean, sometimes you think, oh, I don't want to wear that. I'm going to smell like a pizza, but it's so yummy. It's just great for helping us be objective about what's mine and what's not mine to carry in this life. And then the next oil we're going to use is tangerine. If you have to go back and do this on the recording, that's completely fine. If you just want to observe, that's fine. Or if you have your oils out and you can pull them as I'm talking, that's great too. Also, if you don't have essential oils but you would like to get them, please reach out to me, because there's actually a really cool deal going on this month where when you get started with essential oils, doTERRA will actually give you some free oils. So let me know if that's something that you need. Please do not use health food store essential oils. They will not have the same therapeutic effect, and they also have the potential to have things in them like pesticides and things that you don't want to put on your body. So if you don't have oils, you can just use the energy of them or the intention of them as we do this practice together. So tangerine, we're going to put, so I put a drop on my finger, and then rub my fingers together. I'm just going to lightly put the oils on my ears. Just a light finger touch. Some people even like to use a feather. So if you were doing this with your partner, I like to recommend that we do this first with ourselves until we feel safe to invite someone else into this practice with us. But if you're in a good place, feel free to do this with your spouse. But around the ears, we're just going to increase that enjoyment of intimacy. And light touch really helps us connect with the masculine energy in our body. So we have masculine energy and feminine energy, and they're both important, they're both beautiful, and they both have their purpose. And we're bringing that masculine energy down through our meridians and our chakras, and then they're going to meet here in our lower body, and then we're going to bring them back up, and then that's when you have the beautiful release of that creation energy. And then we've cleared all those channels for that orgasm to take place. And then we're going to do even across our forehead. We want the right brain and the left brain to connect with that light finger touch as well. So tangerine across our ears, and then that light finger touch across our forehead. And then take time to smell that oil. Tangerine is a beautiful oil for creativity, spontaneity, and those are things that are often difficult to have in the bedroom, especially if there has been trauma, because we're like in survival mode as opposed to creative mode, and inspiration and idea time can sometimes be a leap for us. So next, what we're going to do is peppermint, and we're going to bring that down into our heart space. We want to do a figure 8 energy around our shoulders and around our breasts, like just a figure 8 energy. And if you can't access all of this because we're in a class, I'm putting the peppermint, if you're showing this to somebody else, just put it in between your breasts, or if you're a man, in between your nipple line on your sternum, and then just pull the energy of the peppermint up and around. And our heart, like I said earlier, is where we store trauma. And because we're adding peppermint here, we're creating a buoyancy of heart that says, you don't have to carry this anymore. you have help and support. And if you really are feeling unsupported, you could add an oil like birch to it or wintergreen. And that's another one that helps you really feel like it's okay to let go. If you really, really, really don't want to let go of that trauma, like this is my identity, I've like really, this is my story, I'm not ready, I don't feel safe. And other few oils that can assist that feeling like it's okay to let it go and trust God with it, just trust the process, is you can add cilantro and thyme to it. And so I'm going to do that today. And we don't have to be afraid of this process. It's actually very gentle and it's very beautiful. Thyme is a hot oil, so I'm okay with putting it directly on my skin, but this is one that I recommend people dilute. So again, that heart space area between your breasts or on your sternum, if you're a man, and just pull that energy up and over. And then again, you know, just with the motion, the figure 8 motion of moving that energy up and around. And then we're going to add, like, start our hands over our heart center and close our eyes and just really connect to that energy. Let go of the fear and all of the things that we've stored there. And just connect to the fact that we are supported in our healing process. And I do have like the gift of being able to feel like I can feel you, I can feel me. So I wanted to really honor that space. So now we're going to connect our heart area into our gut, like that seat of our self-confidence that in the chakra system we call the solar plexus. This is where I first noticed that I heard God speak to me in my body. And then if I thought back, all the way back into my childhood, I knew that I felt this even then. Like that feeling in your gut, like something isn't right. Well, our intestines are like all over, right? But that gut is like right here. Or like you feel like people say, I feel like I got kicked in the gut, like just somebody violated that, like that seed of my self-confidence, that part of me that trusts myself. Somebody undermined it somehow, and you end up feeling kind of sick in your solar plexus. And I mean, I grew up feeling like my solar plexus was in knots a lot. And so I'm adding jasmine touch to it. If you don't have jasmine, jasmine is in Whisper, or you could skip it. Let me see if it's in this one too. No, it's not in Immortelle, but Immortelle does have complementary properties you could use. There's a part of us that forms an addiction here to connecting to another thing or substance or activity rather than having intimacy. Like we'd rather go to like ice cream or Netflix or shopping or hanging out with our girlfriends or, doing a sport or an activity rather than connecting to that other person in a deep, deep, loving, meaningful way. And that jasmine helps restore us to a place where we feel like it's safe to connect who I really am with that heart space, like allow somebody really to know me on that deep level. And so we want to actually bring that energy down around our belly button and like even into our belly button. And it's just a circular energy around our belly button. We're actually connecting to our doer energy, and you may feel like swaying back and forth. That might feel like a natural movement for you, and that's actually really helpful because you're connecting to that doer energy, going back and forth, where we feel like it's safe to connect to that deep, deep love instead of an addiction that we would put in its place. The next oil we're going to use is lemongrass. Lemongrass is another hot oil, so if you have your fractionated coconut oil, it's not a bad idea to connect together. Rub my hands together, and then I'm kind of short here, but just gonna rub it like down around my hip space. So I'm just kind of putting it in my pants there, and then like just rubbing the energy of it around my hips. So kind of see this area here. I just want to really connect the sides of my hips in that circular motion. We're bringing our doer energy down into our lower creation center. So our sacral space, our sacral chakra, whatever you want to say, your womb area, that's where like you physically create life. You're a man, it's your groin area. So we're bringing that energy down into our hips, into the sides of our body, like we're giving like a feather touch to even stimulate it further. That it's okay for that masculine energy to come down into that creation space. And lemongrass we chose because it helps us to clear away clutter and distraction. So this would be maybe a point where I would have started making those grocery lists instead of connecting with my husband. It's also going to help me further disconnect from those addictions. That, oh, I'm not going to go to bed, I'm going to stay up really, really super late and watch Netflix, rather than go to bed and have intimacy with my husband, or even like the chance of intimacy. It was like, nope, I'm going to stay out here and you're going to fall asleep and then I'm going to go to bed. Like that addiction of just completely avoiding it. Okay, so then we are going to connect the top of our head, our crown chakra, our place where we receive inspiration. We're going to connect that lower crater up to the top, and we're going to put a little frankincense right on the top of our head. Frankincense is just it's an oil that we associate with the divine masculine, so that protector, provider, create like with power and might and authority and just masculine energy, right? We're connecting with that energy in our brain, and that is a powerful energy. We want to really have our lower creator energy come up and around and up through. So it's really powerful, and this is where we kind of create that, like, you know, people call it the aura or that energy field. There's an electromagnetic energy field around our body, and it's meant to flow all the time, and we're bringing it down and then we'll bring it up, and it's meant to flow up and out all the time. So it's kind of fun. All right, and then the next, like, kind of phase 2, we're bringing the feminine energy up. So we've made that connection. Now we're going to bring it back up through. So we're going to take wild orange, and we're really going to just kind of scoop it right here. Wild orange is the oil of abundance. It's like more creativity. It's beautiful. We're going to just scoop it like under our belly. Get to see all my glory here. Side to side energy. We're going to really breathe into this treatment. This is where we feel that full fulfillment in our chest. And we're going to let that feminine doer energy just do its thing. We're getting ready to birth something amazing, so we want to use our oil of abundance with that. And then I always love to use wild orange with myrrh because it creates abundance and gets us out of scarcity, or that I can't create because I don't have enough energy. And myrrh is like, if frankincense is the divine masculine, myrrh is the divine feminine. And it's that mama energy that I am physically nourished, nurtured, supported, held, protected, provided for, like Mother Earth even energy, like just that mama God energy that we in our patriarchal society have really gotten away from. And it's around our belly button. So we're going to kind of switch directions and just rub it around our belly button. And really tell ourselves, like, I have permission to release my addictions. I don't need them anymore. I'm supported. It's safe for me to connect to other things. Connect to myself, connect to my spouse. I don't want to connect to ice cream. I don't want to connect to Netflix. I don't want to connect to chocolate to feel supported. I want to connect to me and God and my partner, right? So if that's in a business sense, I want to connect to my doTERRA team, or the people in my organization, whatever that might be, or I want to connect to my ideal clients, like whatever it is, I want to connect where I'm supposed to connect to bring life into fruition. And next we're going to grab our cinnamon. Cinnamon is a really great oil. Like I said earlier, in the blend, it's for sexual harmony. It's also like that fire. Like, I feel empowered with cinnamon. It's a very hot oil, but you can just put a drop on the tip of your tongue. Kind of spicy, but it's yummy. Reminds me of Red Hots, the candy. In Chinese medicine, our tongue connects to our heart space. That's why people French kiss. Like, tongue connection is energetically a heart-to-heart connection. And so it's just very beautiful. And we want to move into a figure 8 energy. So that kind of looks like getting our shoulders involved. If it doesn't feel natural to you and you're still in that side-to-side energy, that's okay. Your energy will eventually shift, or it won't. Maybe it wants to stay in that side-to-side energy for today, and that is okay. We're going to do the figure 8 energy through our trauma points. So we're bringing it back up to our heart space. We want to feel how good it feels to let go of that trauma. And we have some stubborn trauma that really likes to hold on here, and we want to let that go. It is safe to let that go. I'm just kind of creating some shifts here, some releasing here. And we're going to do some fun stuff. So if you have had kids, you probably know what a Kegel is, but if you haven't, that's okay. A Kegel is basically those pelvic floor muscles that, like, if you were peeing and you're a woman, if you tighten those muscles, you would stop the flow of pee coming out. So just kind of like clenching the muscles between your vagina and your anus. And it's a powerful energy to tighten your pelvic floor, especially after you've had a baby vaginally, but it's just great to do anytime. And you can even do it while you're having sex or while you're making love. You can pull that creation energy or that kundalini energy up, that life energy up, especially when you're working with releasing trauma from your heart space. You can connect, you get that energy surging up, and it gives that trauma a little boost, and it can dislodge it and help it feel safe to release. So we're going to actually do some Kegels if you're up for it. While you're doing your Kegels, just breathe in and hold, and then let go and release. We're kind of creating the sensation of moving up and letting it go down. Up. It's like when you're having a baby and you're pushing, you push, and then you let it go, and the baby will kind of go back up a little, and then you push, and the baby will go further. It's like that, but we're directing it upward. So we're holding and releasing. And we can do that 8 flow and do a couple more. And you're going to probably need to do this a few times. Like, this is meant to be done as a practice. So don't be hard on yourself if you can't, like, get everything to flow the way you want it to. But you are doing an amazing work here. So give your body gratitude, give God gratitude, give yourself gratitude for showing up and practicing this. It's awkward. It's kind of not something we're used to doing. And so it doesn't have to be awkward, but it can be. And so just getting to know our bodies in this way is an amazing work, right? So when you do that hold, if you focus like right here on your forehead where there's a nerve bundle here that we call our third eye. It's like a place where people with spiritual seer gifts often will see messages from God there. So if you're like, what? You can do some research, or we can talk about it if you want to. We're bringing it up, and then we're letting it go. And then our next oil we're going to go to is geranium. This is like, we're going to do our back and forth motion. This is thinker energy. So we're going to actually put geranium here on that third eye area. And we're going to move our energy back and forth. When I do this, I like to bring it like from the right brain to the left brain. I'll swipe it all the way across because I really want my logical self and my intuitive self to meet and shake hands and get on board with each other. So that's what I do. You might feel yourself getting flushed. You might feel your cheeks getting warm. You might not. That's totally okay. But we're connecting our thinker to our feeler. And for me, this is where I realized my orgasms were getting stuck. I'd start to have one, and it'd either get stuck here in my heart center. I'd start feeling really connected with Eric, and I'd be like, oh, that's too scary. That's too painful. And I would never get there. Or I'd start to have an orgasm, and then I would start thinking about it, like worrying if it was going to last for longer, if I was moving right, or like whatever. And I'd be like, oh, there it went. Like, dang it, you know? And I try to get it to come back, and then I was just stuck in my thinker energy. And we do that in our business. We're like, we make it weird, we make it awkward, we make it about ourselves. We like worry if we're doing it right instead of just letting it flow. So it happens. And this geranium is going to help us love and trust ourselves, love and trust the process, love and trust our creator, love and trust our partner, love and trust our ideal clients. Just love and trust the process. And it's a beautiful thing. You may want to like just do a soothing breath or a low tone groans there might feel really natural. I like to kind of really breathe into my heart space there and open it because it wants to get stuck. And I don't want it to get stuck there. And then I really want to wire this in, so I've added DDR prime right over the geranium on the third eye and even over my heart space. So I want the buoyancy and the love and trust to really be wired in, because these are the areas where that creation energy gets stuck. I either freak out because I feel too vulnerable, or I overthink it and overanalyze it and shoot it down. And so for me, those are the areas that I want to wire in. This is my new normal, and DDR prime wires in our new normal. And then our next oil is spearmint. Confident speech. We're going to let ourselves make noise, whether that's like physically, like when we're having an orgasm, or it's just welcoming in the gift of who I am and living in my divine purpose, opening my mouth and sharing with somebody. Like, for instance, right now in this class, bringing this to fruition takes courage. It takes courage to get on a Zoom call and talk to people about your sex life and your sexual abuse and your trauma and the shame that likes to try to stay connected to that I am continually asking God to bring healing to. It's vulnerable, right? But it's when we live out loud like that and we shine our light, we're actually pulling that creation energy, we're pulling that true self up and out our crown. And it's like we take the inspiration and the healing that God has given us and we bring it into ourselves and we integrate it into who we are and what we do, and then we bring it up and out, and we let our life lessons and the things that have made us who we are, the things that were painful, the things that were joyful, and everything in between, and we let it become who we are, and then we share it with the world. And that is how we bring glory and honor to our Creator. It's freaking gorgeous. It is the way that we honor the lessons that we've come here into this body and onto this earth to learn. And it's the way that we bring forth the magnificence of like who we were created to be in the divine symphony. Like every part is needed, every person is needed. And this is my piece of the symphony, right? When I allow this creation energy to come forth, and then God does amazing things with it, right? So the spearmint is just like bringing it in, welcoming the gift of who I am, and birthing a new self basically out the top of my head. I'm made new. Every time I allow something to come from God and come into me, and I integrate it into who I am, and then I bring it up and out and bring it forth into the world, I'm made new. So I put that drop of spearmint on my head and I confidently say, this is who I am. And I am here to honor who I was created to be. And it's beautiful. And you are here to honor who you were created to be and bring forth this magnificent life work. And that orgasm energy, that creation energy, that life energy flowing up and out of you is the most amazing thing ever. And we were created to experience that, and how beautiful it is. And it does not have to be shameful or dirty or any of the things that we've attached to it or other people have attached to it for us. So in that process, this is where you would just be still. And you could hold some Kegels if you still need to bring it up and out and it's there, but it's not quite peaked. That's when more of those Kegels would be great, the breathing in and holding. and then releasing and bringing it up and bringing it down until it breaks through and it just flows forth. So we're basically creating a new pathway, and we're clearing out the junk and the flow that has gummed up the works. And this is a practice. This is not a one and done. This is a practice. And so as you feel comfortable, you know, when I started using the lube, I quit having sex with Eric when I felt like I should, or it was my duty. And I initiated sex when I felt safe and I felt ready to try again. And sometimes it would be like once a week or once every 2 weeks or 10 days. And then we kind of worked around my period and stuff. And then just that this was your first time. So love yourself where you are and see what happens next time. And it's very beautiful. And even you could journal around it or anything, you know, like keep track of the process, because then when you share your story, then it's a magnificent thing that you have this chronicle of like this healing that's taken place in your life. And you're able to offer that hope to other people. So again, if you don't have your own essential oils, reach out to me. doTERRA is doing an amazing promo this month where if you get started with your oils at a wholesale level, no selling required, they will give you $50 in free oils, and they also give me $50 in free oils, which is awesome. Or if you want to work with me in a small group where we go through protocols and we go through a healing journey together, I'm starting a new group in May, so reach out to me and we can do this in a safe small group. So I really thank you for coming, setting the time aside and joining me today for this beautiful class. I honor you for being courageous and showing up for yourself and investigating that your life can be increasingly different and increasingly better and healthier, and you are growing in wholeness of your own free will and your own choosing, and allowing me to be a part of that process and to share my story with you. So blessings on you and have a wonderful day.